Wanjiru stared at the glistening object in her hand. A one-way ticket, a promise of a better life. Daniel had painted a picture so vivid, so alluring she could almost taste it. A world of opportunities, a future free from the shackles of their present. But doubt, like a bitter herb, lingered on her tongue. Promises whispered sweet nothings in her ear, the life they yearned for, within reach. Yet a deep unease gnawed at her. The life she knew, the people she loved, faded into the background of Daniel's grand vision. Was she trading one cage for another, gilded though it may be? The weight of the decision pressed upon her, heavy and suffocating. Could she gamble everything on a promise, whispered in the dead of night? A promise that felt increasingly like a poisoned apple, tempting and treacherous in equal measure. Hope, once a flickering candle, had become a raging fire in Daniel's eyes. His words, imbued with an almost desperate fervor, painted a picture of a future shimmering with possibility. He spoke of streets paved with gold, of opportunities waiting to be seized. Wanjiru wanted to believe him, to lose herself in the warmth of his conviction, to drown out the whispers of doubt that nipped at the edges of her mind. She clung to his words like a lifeline, seeking solace in the face of mounting uncertainty. But hope, she was realizing, was a fickle mistress. It could lift you to unimaginable heights, only to dash you against the rocks of reality. And as the days turned into weeks, Wanjiru felt the weight of their shared dream pressing down on her, threatening to crush her spirit. The vibrancy of Daniel's promises began to fade, like colors leaching from a once bright tapestry. His words, once filled with passion, now rang hollow, echoing in the silence that stretched between them. The dreams they had so carefully woven together felt frayed at the edges, unraveling thread by thread. Wanjiru watched as the man she loved transformed into a stranger before her very eyes. The light in his eyes dimmed, replaced by a shadow of desperation. The laughter they once shared became a distant memory, replaced by tense silences and unspoken accusations. She had hoped that the promise of a new life would breathe fresh air into their love, rekindle the spark that had drawn them together. Instead, it seemed to be suffocating them, driving a wedge between their hearts. Doubt, once a whisper at the edge of her consciousness, now roared in her ears, drowning out the echoes of Daniel's promises. She saw the cracks in his facade, the desperation that lurked beneath his carefully constructed optimism. The weight of her sacrifice, the life she was leaving behind, felt unbearable. The whispers turned into screams. They clawed at her, demanding to be heard. How could she abandon everything for a future built on shaky foundations? How could she trust a man who seemed as lost and uncertain as she felt? Wanjiru found herself caught in a tempest of her own making. Torn between the allure of the unknown and the comfort of the familiar, she struggled to find her footing. Each step forward felt like a betrayal, each backward glance a reminder of the dream she was leaving behind. Desperation clung to Daniel like a shroud. Gone was the confident charmer who had promised her the world. In his place stood a man teetering on the precipice of despair, his dreams threatening to crumble around him. He clung to Wanjiru, his words frantic pleas for her to stay, to believe, to trust in a future that felt increasingly illusory. Wanjiru's heart ached with a mixture of pity and resentment. She saw his pain, felt the weight of his expectations, but she could no longer ignore the gnawing fear in her own heart. The closer they got to this supposed paradise, the more she felt like a prisoner bound for a gilded cage. The tension between them crackled in the air, a tangible force that threatened to consume them both. Wanjiru knew she had to make a choice, to break free from the suffocating grip of their shared delusion, even if it meant shattering the last vestiges of their love. The air crackled with unspoken tension. Wanjiru, her voice trembling but resolute, finally gave voice to the doubts that had plagued her for so long. The mask of hope Daniel had worn for so long shattered, revealing the raw fear and vulnerability that lay beneath. He railed against her accusations, his voice laced with a desperation that cut through her. He accused her of betrayal, of cowardice, of abandoning their dreams. But his words rang hollow, devoid of the conviction they once held. Wanjiru stood her ground, her own voice gaining strength with every word. The truth, once buried beneath layers of hope and denial, now hung heavy in the air. Their dreams, she realized, had been built on a foundation of lies, their love a fragile thing, easily broken by the weight of their expectations. The world seemed to take a collective breath as Wanjiru walked away. Each step she took, away from Daniel, away from the poisoned promises, was a victory. The weight that had pressed down on her for so long began to lift, replaced by a lightness she had almost forgotten. Fear, a constant companion in the shadow of Daniel's dreams, loosened its grip. In its place, a flicker of hope, this time born not of blind faith, but of hard-won self-belief. The world stretched before her, no longer a daunting unknown, but a landscape ripe with possibility. The taste of freedom was exhilarating, intoxicating. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, Wanjiru could breathe. The future, once a terrifying abyss, was now a blank canvas, waiting for her to paint it with the colors of her own choosing. The world embraced Wanjiru with open arms. She found kindness in unexpected places, strength within herself she never knew she possessed. The life she built, piece by piece, was a testament to her resilience, her spirit unbroken by the trials she had endured. The memory of Daniel and his poisoned promises faded, replaced by the vibrant tapestry of her new life. She carried the lessons she had learned with her, a reminder that true freedom came not from following someone else's path, but from forging her own. As she watched the sun rise each morning, painting the sky with the promise of a new day, Wanjiru knew that the greatest adventures were yet to come. Her journey was a testament to the enduring power of hope, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit could rise, phoenix-like, from the ashes of despair.